What's up to Lion Talk Live? So we love you too, buddy.
What's going on, guys? It is Aidan Hutchinson.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Megatron, a.k.a. First Ballot.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live, Coach Dan, by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
I love nothing more than watching Lions Talk Live every morning. Woo!
Woo!
Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Hey, Lions Talk Live, a Tuesday morning show edition. And you know what? We're about 2 weeks away, folks, from training camp beginning, or at least right around there. We should say 2 weeks, 14 days, whatever you want to throw out there. We're about closing in on training camp, which means we all know it. We all are going to have to anticipate it. There are going to be nothing more than training camp battles for every position on this team. You got the right coaching staff for me to say this. They're going to let the bodies hit the floor. They're going to let everybody get on the field and just say, hey, nobody's earned anything at this point. We all can assume Jared Goff's the starting quarterback, but what if somebody comes out there and just performs flat out better than him? We can all assume Amon-Ra St. Brown is the number one wide receiver. But what if somebody else comes out and outperforms them? We're going to talk about the 5 biggest training camp battles anticipated going into training camp. So you know what? Sit on back, get ready for that. Have a debate with everybody else in the Dew crew and let it fly. What do you think right now? If I had to ask you guys, what are the 5 biggest positions up in the air going into it? And yes, anything can change. Anything can happen at any time. Somebody could pull a Rocky Balboa or whatever else kind of analogy you want to throw out there and supplant somebody. But I think we can all agree there's a whole lot of expectations that, hey, Gibbs is going to be the number one running back. Goff is going to be the number one quarterback. St. Brown and Jameson Williams will be the number 1 and 2 wide receivers on the team. But we're going to get into it during the main topic of the day. Before we get into the main topic of the day, before we get into the 5 glorious headlines now, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making that march for 13,900 subs. We're about 30 subs away. So if you can assist with that, hey, I'd say thank you for that. Also, if you have a half second of time, it doesn't cost a dime. Reach on down, hit that thumbs up button, that like button, hit all the buttons. We try to get every episode of the show between 200, 300, 400 or more thumbs up or likes. So if you can do that for me, I would be most thankful as well. Also, if you got a half second of time, maybe you're looking for something to read. Maybe you're looking for, just something to keep yourself from being bored. I don't know. Whatever it may be, if you want something to read, if you like historically accurate novels, but the characters may or allegedly be fictional, then go out and check out an Amazon.com or wherever you find great reading literature and get yourself a copy of Kajora book. It is the first in a 9-part series. The second book will release late this year, right around, I don't know, I think it's supposed to hit in November or something like that. But anyways, check it on out, and if you like it, go to Amazon.com or wherever you order it and leave a kind review. All right, all that done, set out of the way, still getting used to these new buttons and locations. Let's head on over to 5 headlines now. All right, 5 glorious headlines coming your way, starting off with a topic we kind of jumped on yesterday. Jared Goff contract loophole is a game changer. Story by Ann Erickson of The Heavy. When Jared Goff's contract came out, whatever it was, last year, we're all like, wow, he's going to be the highest paid quarterback. Let's be fair. There were some fans that were real happy. There were some that really weren't happy about Jared Goff's contract. It was going to break the team. Oh, we won't be able to re-sign this person, that person, every other person. And you know what? It's okay to have your feelings, whichever side of the fence you're on. But as we always talk about when new contracts come out, we all are hit in the face with a headline number. Jared Goff to get $75 gajillion a year per second, whatever it is, some sort of number that's going to be a headline grabber, and we get it. They do it all the time. Once we get an actual opportunity to break down the numbers, that's where maybe you have to take a moment of pause and say, hey, is this contract really what we thought? Well, let's do that a little bit with Jared Goff. We all get it. And Goff's cap hit in 2025 is going to be a measly $32.6 million. And for a starting NFL quarterback who's an MVP frontrunner, to be honest, 32, we'll even round up and say 33 million. That's pretty cheap by modern standards. Where the many people start taking offense to it is in 26, where it rounds up to basically 70 million a year. While we can all say, man, it is going to break the team, it is going to hold the team back, not so fast, as somebody once said. Lions do have a lot of different players who are coming up on contract, negotiating standpoints for, Sam Laporta, Jack Campbell, Brian Branch, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs. We get it. There's a whole lot of guys to re-sign after this upcoming year. That's where maybe this loophole for Jared Goff's contract is a real solid to the team. Goff and his representation would have known about this once the offer was kind of finalized or before it was finalized by both parties. So let's get into it. 2026 is a voidable year in Goff's contract. And there is no money due to Jared Goff if the team voids it. What does this all mean? Does this mean the team's going to move on from Jared Goff? Not so much. I think what it probably means is in 2026, you're going to see Goff get a restructured deal. What that cap number would be at that point, that's a great question. But nobody out there, I don't care if it's on my channel, somebody else's channel, or in print media, nobody can answer that because it hasn't happened yet. When Goff would have signed this deal, his representation would have made it as bluntly clear to him what this means and the impact on his financial future. So what we can all say is Goff went into this contract, signed it, said, hey, I'm going to get an extension. I'm going to remain a Detroit Lion. And yes, in just a couple years, 2026, it will more than likely be a voidable year, which means that's $70 million ain't ever going to see pavement. It ain't ever going to get into Goff's hands. Now, the question will become a year from now, if he has another great year here in 2025, what will that number end up being in 26? It would be my anticipation, and it's an anticipation, speculation only. Goff knew that he would have to re-sign this deal, restructure the deal, probably going to look at him coming down to somewhere probably in the 40 to 50 million a year range, which, hey, if he frees up basically 20 million for them to use on somebody else, you're probably able to resign one or two of those players on the contract. They're going to need new contracts that I put in the list there. So give Goff, man, I can't talk this morning. Give Jared Goff a lot of praise because he's willing to take one for the team and apparently give the team a real hometown discount. All right, now that I murdered that one, kind of bumbling around a little bit, let's get to the next of the 5 headlines now. Lions roster preview. Penei Sewell is ready to take things to a new level. SB Nation story by Morgan Cannon. You know what? In hindsight, I probably could have made the Goff thing the headline of the day, and you know what? The main topic of the day, and probably would have gotten a gajillion billion views on it, but I just wanted to make it one of the 5 headlines. All right, so getting to the Penei Sewell. So we talked about with Goff yesterday with part of the main topic of the day, that he had worked on his speed. And I know somebody had some comments, man, at 30 years old, can you really improve your speed? The simple answer is yes, you can at any age. It's just what you're willing to do to achieve it. If you're really going, cojones to the wall, yes, you can slim down some weight. You can work on how you, change your foot structure, your placement, all that stuff. Are you going to shave a lot of time off? No, but can you shave some off too? You also got a little bit stronger, as we noted yesterday, throwing the ball down the field. He is not the only Detroit Lion, though, who wants to get bigger, faster, and stronger, and that is Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell, apparently, from multiple different reports, we all know last year he weighed in around 330 pounds, 335 pounds. He's coming in a little bit closer to 342 pounds now. And it's not that he's been drinking a lot of delicious Mountain Dew. He's been hitting the weight room even more. Penei Sewell apparently has put a lot of expectations on his back. He wanted to get bigger, faster, stronger. So he wants to be used more in different packages and help this team improve. Apparently, he spent a whole lot of time this offseason on strength conditioning, speed training, resistance training, and in case you didn't know, the All-NFC team came out yesterday from SI.com. Penei Sewell is the unanimous number 1 pick for offensive lineman in the NFC North. So kudos to him for that. He spent all summer, Penei Sewell, working on becoming even a better right tackle for the NFL and the Detroit Lions. Currently, per Pro Football Focus's next-gen stats, Penei Sewell, I did not know this about him. I knew he had been good, but I didn't know he had been this good. Penei Sewell has allowed the second lowest sack rate, 0.6, when playing right tackle since entering the league in 2021. a minimum of 600 pass blocking snaps. Sewell is also allowed the sixth lowest pressure rate, 6.6, at right tackle during his career. So kudos to him for doing that, and it does sound like he wants to, again, be a part of not just being an offensive lineman, but sort of like we saw a little bit last year with Ben Johnson, being used in multiple different packages in different ways. Let's also be fair. Dan Campbell last year said if Penei Sewell didn't want to be an offensive lineman, wanted to be a tight end, he probably could have been a Hall of Fame tight end, and I agree with him. He's big, he's fast, he can motor, he plays angry. There's not a whole lot to not like about Penei Sewell. What do you guys think? At the end of the day, do you think Penei Sewell will be even better this year? Do you think he is already a first ballot Hall of Famer? The kid's only, 23, 24 years old? That's a heck of a statement to make about him, and he is trending upwards. He is only beginning to hit the prime of his career. All right, next to the 5 headlines out, Aidan Hutchinson called contender to dethrone stud defender for top NFL award. Sideline report, story by Max DeMar. So we get it this time of year. You're getting ready for the season. Everybody and their mother is putting out predictions for the year, who's going to make the team, what the record's going to be, yada, yada, yada. You're already seeing, we've talked about it this offseason, who the MVP front runners are in Vegas, who rookie of the year, yada, yada, all that stuff. Well, Aidan Hutchinson has been added to Vegas's list for potential candidates to dethrone defensive player of the year. Yes, that's right. Coming off the injury, Aidan Hutchinson, he had a piece for SI.com and the NFL Network talking about his ability to come back from the injury, what he went through, the injury recovery process and everything. I think that was out there yesterday, maybe the day before, but you get it recently. It's out there. You can find it. Part of that is, after that story, Vegas did have odds starting to emerge for Defensive Player of the Year. Most of you probably know that Aidan Hutchinson was on an MVP type of campaign last year before the injury happened. Vegas, though, thinks that he is going to have an opportunity to dethrone Patrick Surtain II as Defensive Player of the Year. Could that happen for Hutch? I think when you look at the Lions' projected defensive line, and yes, I'm going to say with Zadarius Smith in it, I think it's a real possibility. The Lions have a lot of talent and a lot of rotational pieces on that defensive front, let alone the linebacking core, and I do think Derek Barnes is going to be a part of packages to get after the quarterback. With that all being said, Hutchinson's going to come in with a chip on his shoulder like we've seen most of his career, like we've seen with most of the Detroit Lions star players. All these guys have a chip on the shoulder. That's why the Lions went after him. That's why they want him to be a Detroit Lion. I think Hutchinson understands there's going to be a lot of naysayers about him, a lot of doubters. Hey, you're going to, need to see him get back there. He's going to have lost a step because of the injury. He'll never be what he once was. Everybody and their mother's kind of throwing opinions about Aidan Hutchinson. Well, Aidan Hutchinson's going to want to come out and prove to the world, let alone the Detroit Lions organization, that he's A-OK, right as rain, because he is coming up on a new contract as well. Plus, I also get the opinion when you look at Hutch, he's just somebody who wants to go. He's you flip that switch, he's go time for him. And I think that's why most Lions fans really embrace him. What are your expectations for Hutchinson going into this season? What type of numbers do you think he'll put up this year? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section if you would be so kind. All right, next to the 5 headlines now. Detroit Lions get good news as season nears. The heavy story by Ann Erickson. Another one I probably could have used as the main topic of the day, but I went with the one that I did. So, like we were talking about during Penei Sewell, you're starting to see the SI, and I'm sure Pro Football Focus, ESPN, everybody and their mother is going to have the all preseason list, all this list, all whatever, as we get ready for the season to begin. But with the Detroit Lions, you know what? They have the number 3 running back in the whole NFL. This is from a lot of different coaches who are in the poll, scouts, etc. Pro Football Focus, interviewed and based this story on those guys, people with more know-how than most of us, more insight and detailed analysis of players. Since the 2025-26 season is about 2 months away, this information is coming out left, right, and center. And yes, there were Jahmyr Gibbs. You're probably not surprised by this. He was listed as the number 3 running back in the whole NFL. Expectations from a lot of these scouts and coaches have him even going higher this year. Why? Saquon Barkley, they don't think is going to be able to repeat what he did last year. Just think, just law of averages. He can't put up that type of year 2 years in a row. Derrick Henry, who was number 2, just think Father Time is going to start wearing on him. Who knows with either one of those? I think they're both great running backs. But the fact that the Detroit Lions, once upon a time, went from the number 6 pick and traded out to not take Jalen Carter to get the Gibbs at number 12 and then also pick up Sam Laporta. That's looking more and more like one of the greatest trades in Detroit Lions history. Maybe you could argue in the top 20 of the NFL because he gave up 1 All-Pro player and got 2 Impact All-Pro players. Will either one of those guys ever make it to the Hall of Fame? I don't know, and I don't really care. If you're an All-Pro, you're pretty dang good. If you do make it to the Hall of Fame, kudos to you. But I think we can all agree as Lions fans, when we watched Gibbs last year, we saw something rare. Maybe you could say the best Lions running back any of us have seen since, gosh, I don't know, I hate to say it, but probably Barry Sanders. And that's no disrespect to a lot of other people. During this story, Gibbs was compared heavily to like a bigger, stronger version of Reggie Bush. And, in my opinion, that's not a horrible comparison, not just because, Bush was a USC guy, and most of you guys know I am a USC fan, but because he is multidimensional. Bush could absolutely fly out of the gym. He could fly all over the field. He could catch the ball. He could do a ton of different stuff. I would say saying that maybe he's a little bit stronger version of Bush. That's probably an accurate statement. They went on to rank some other people, but I'll save those for other shows later this week. Goff is on the list, but again, I'm not going to go into that today. I'll save it for another one. But what do you guys think? Is Gibbs already the number 3 running back in the NFL? I'd say it's hard to disagree with that, but see what you guys have to say. All right, last of the 5 glorious headlines now. Training camp preview. Is Alex Anzalone era ending soon? Excuse me. Question mark, SI.com, story by Christian Bohr. You know what? We're going to be scuba doing this thing all season long, I fear, because there isn't really a firm answer one way or the other when it comes to Alex Anzalone. We all know the story by now. If you don't, I'll give you a real quick one. He wants a contract extension. The Lions have been non-committal about it. That's where we're at with things. Now, I get many people say, man, he skipped OTAs. You know what? I don't think it's just my opinion here. Doesn't have to be your opinion. I just don't think it's a big deal for somebody of his length in the NFL, his type of time as far as knowing this, that, and the other thing about how the NFL game works. If you're a younger player, developmental player, a rookie, first, second year guy, okay, I think OTAs have a lot of value. If you're in your 30s, which he now is, sort of like we talked about with Zadarius Smith, the fact that Zadarius Smith really hasn't missed anything other than OTAs for the Lions, I think if he signs tomorrow, he's basically not missed a beat. Same with Alex Anzalone. I think he's personally going to come in, play great this year, because let's also be fair. The Lions, if they decide to move off Alex Anzalone, are doing it for a business reason. They don't feel like a new contract or whatever his asking price may be is justified for what he offers. He's also getting a little bit older. They've got to make some choices. Jack Campbell's new contract, like we talked about earlier, is coming up. Are you going to invest money there? Are you going to invest money here? Alex Anzalone, if he doesn't get a new deal here, he's going to want to play his butt off before the Detroit Lions so he can secure a deal somewhere else. Alex Anzalone, in my opinion, he's probably got 1 contract left in him. If he's really lucky, he's got 2 left in him. Assuming the next contract is probably 3 years, maybe it's only 2. If it's only 2, he's probably got 2 contracts in him still. And as long as he avoids any major injury, it's never fun for a coach, a front office person, or player when something like this comes up, because Alex Anzalone is, I would say, for most Lions fans, he's a fan favorite. They like him. They like what he brings. They like how he's evolved his career, I guess we could say, during his time in Detroit. It just is what it is. At some point, not everybody gets to stay forever. I remember when Chris Spielman, they didn't offer him a new contract. Everybody thought the team was crazy. I want to say he played like 2 more years or something like that in Buffalo, and you could see the slow decline. Same with Benny Blades. You could go through all sorts of different players that have come to Detroit, been great players, but at some point, the end comes for all of us, whether we're 14 or 40. The end for our playing careers do come. Let's hope Alex Anzalone can stick around for the Lions. I would be happy if he does, but you know what? It's not up to me. All right, with all that done, set out of the way, let's get on over to the main topic of the day. All right, main topic of the day. We got training camp opening up here in just a couple weeks. So, you know what? Hey, what are some of the 5 biggest positional battles where we should anticipate going into camp? And I do think most of these will rage throughout training camp until basically we make the 53-man roster. We get to week 1 of the regular season. You can have your opinions on it. Throw them in the comment section if you have opinions, but let's get into it. Number 5 on the list is the tight end number 3. Sam Laporta, Brock Wright. It would be my guess that they are cemented as number 1 and 2. But you have to say Zane Silstra, we talked about him the other day. I think he's a pretty dang good pass receiving tight end. He's just not very good at run blocking or any kind of blocking, pass blocking, run blocking, or whatever. It's just not his forte. Now, Kenny Yarbrough is a pretty good blocker. I don't know if he's so good at receiving. So you got 2 guys with vastly different skill sets, and there's going to be other people on that list for sure for the tight end number 3 that can go out there and battle. Who do you think makes it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. But is this the biggest battle out there? I think it is a pretty big one because more and more, we've all talked about all offseason, we're expecting a vertical game from the Detroit Lions, from John Morton, which means we're going to need probably a few more blockers out there. Maybe have some more 12 personnel. Do you achieve the 12 personnel with, say, a Dan Skipper or Giovanni Manu or somebody else from the offensive line out there? Or do you use a tight end? If it is going to be a tight end out there more often than not, then this number 3 tight end spot, make no mistake about it. It's a big spot because that person will also be asked to be fullback, I'm guessing, more often than not in certain packages. So this is a big spot and one we overlook. This Lions roster, I don't think I'm breaking news to anybody out there. There are high expectations for it. There are expectations to win the Super Bowl this year, to win the NFC North again, to be at least in the contention for the number 1 seed in the NFC. So while it may not be a big deal if you take this guy over that guy, we are going to be battling with injuries like every other NFL team. We're going to be battling for small little details and advantages because the difference between the number 1 seed and the number 3 seed typically in the NFL isn't very big as far as the AFC or the NFC. You guys get it. Now, the difference between being in the Super Bowl and just barely losing a title game is probably going to come down to 1 or 2 plays. These backup spots are massive because they also impact special teams. All right, number 4 on this list. Sorry if I rambled too much on that one, but backup quarterback, we've talked about this before. Hey, Goff has been nothing but durable during his NFL career, let alone for his time in the Detroit Lions. But you do want to know whoever comes in, if there is a play like last year's Washington playoff game where Goff's got to sit out a drive or 2, can that person function? We all can point out that Teddy Bridgewater was asked to come in, run the offense and everything. But also go back and look at that time he was on the field. How many passes was he asked to throw? Did we rely more on gadget plays, trick plays during the time he was on the field? If you're going to have a backup quarterback, it is going to be imperative this year you believe that person in a stressful environment, situation, can go out there and lead that team to points. Can you do it? Is it going to be Hendon Hooker? Is it going to be Adams? I don't know. Could it be player C, somebody not even currently on the team? I think that perhaps one of the biggest battles this preseason is going to come down to how many reps, how many quarters do we give whoever the backup contenders are. That tells me John Morton, Dan Campbell, whoever you want to list, they need to believe in that individual, and they are going to give that person all the opportunities for them to put stuff on film and secure confidence from the coaching staff. I don't know if they have it yet, but we're going to find out here in about 3 weeks when the Hall of Fame game hits. All right, number 3 on the list, probably a no-brainer for most of us. It is going to be the guard position. We do not have the same starters that we had last year. Nothing's going to change that. Graham Glasgow, could he be a starter? Sure. I don't think he's going to be. I'm guessing if he's starting, he's probably at center. That's my anticipation, but that's why we're talking about it. Could Ratledge, a rookie, come in and start? Could he be at center? Could he be at guard? Christian Mahogany, we all know this story. He played great in the limited amount of time he was out there last year. Had elite grades on 2 of his 3 games he performed in. So that really says something about him. There's going to be a lot of other spots up there for debate too. Who's going to be the backup to these guys? How many offensive linemen do we keep on this year's team? I've gone on record saying it's going to be 8 or 9 in my opinion. I don't think you're keeping more than that. Maybe I'm wrong though. So maybe we will keep some others. There got a lot of people are going to be battling not just for snaps and reps during training camp, but for their Detroit Lions careers. Because some of these guys will be on the outside looking in. I can already hear Pierce talking about this in the comment section. Number 2 on this list is going to be edge. We all know it. We expected going into the draft, the Lions were going to take this guy or that guy or make a move and trade here, do that. Free agency. You know what? We're going to put pen to paper and sign this guy. We're going to make an explosive trade for this all-pro. Everybody had been inundated since the end of last season about what the Lions were going to do at edge to solve the great dilemma. Who starts opposite Aidan Hutchinson? And yes, right now it looks like Hopefully, it's going to be Zadarius Smith. It appears until he signs, though, it's probably Marcus Davenport. We can all have our questions about it. We all can, be a part of the cheering section for Ahmed Hassanin, the rookie that's got everybody talking about him. Could be Alaquin Muhammad, could be Josh Pascal, could be a lot of different people. But this will be one of the most pivotal battles in camp. Now, skip the backup quarterback. If you can't get to the other team's quarterback like we saw against Washington last year, you know what? You're going to struggle, especially against somebody who can be multidimensional, run, pass, options, the whole shebang. You can't put pressure on that person. They will pick you apart. If you remember a couple years ago when we played at Baltimore, and was it Lamar Jackson had there was a couple different plays. He literally had 9 seconds to throw the ball. There's no defensive back in NFL history that is going to guard somebody of any kind of worth at the NFL level, receiver, for 9 seconds without, failing. So you get it. You got to get to the other team's quarterback. Can Davenport be the answer? Can somebody else be the answer? I don't know who's going to be out there, but you're going to all be watching. We're all going to be watching to see who rises to the occasion. And hopefully it's not a winner by default. It's a winner because somebody emerged to gain confidence, not just to us as fans, but the coaching staff. And then probably the number one person on this list, kind of already talked about it positional-wise, is going to be center. Somebody needs to be able to snap the ball consistently and securely to Goff so we can either run the ball or pass the ball. Let's face it, we've got all the weapons in the world offensively. There is nobody in the NFL, quarterback-wise, who wouldn't salivate at playing for the Detroit Lions because you look at the explosive receivers, the tight ends, the running backs. Man, you've got toys galore. You got one of the best, perhaps one of the best ever right tackles in the NFL history in the Penei Sewell. Taylor Decker, is he going to be going to the Hall of Fame? Probably not. He's a pretty good left tackle. He's not that left tackle, though. You got him backing up, and now you got a bunch of guys trying to figure it out at guard and center. Whoever wins this spot is going to have a lot of pressure on him. We get it. You're replacing a living legend in Frank Ragnow, so expectations are going to be high. There's going to be tons of scrutiny. You know what? One of the most biggest positions in the NFL is center because of all the different things you have to read on blitz pickups, line adjustments, communication with the quarterback. You get it. There's a whole lot of responsibilities. Who's going to win it? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. All right, we've got about 3 minutes till Anthony from Roar Lions UK, I think, is stopping by today, although I haven't confirmed it. It is a Tuesday. Normally he stops by. Let's get to the Duke Crew comment section and get through some of you guys. In case he is going to come by, we can get through as many as we can. JDC, morning all. Back at you. Mark, good morning all. Have a great day. Same to you, Mark. Good to see you as always. Love the thumbnail of the campfire. Stephanie, good morning, boys. Exclamation point. Heading into the gym and training. Let's hope this pass rush is solved this season so we can take another team's quarterback down often. Yeah, don't give them all the time in the world because we get it. If you give them all the time, you're probably going to get picked apart. Until the hunt, good morning. Ian Kennelly will make a statement in the secondary. Exclamation point. Woo! You know what? Probably sooner versus later, I got to do a story on him. Maybe make him the main topic of the day. Because you get it. I get it. Anybody who's watched the kid gets it. He's an athletic freak. There's no question about that. He's got size, range, wingspan, the whole shebang. If he really does hit, if the Lions find a diamond rough in him, that secondary, that safety room could be scary good. Jess, you know, Attila, I've been watching some tape on Kennelly. He's got a lot to like. Yes, he does. In my opinion, he just got a whole lot to like. Big Eddie, are we thinking Ahmed Hassanin will be the second or third string his rookie year? Question mark. I'm expecting one, maybe two rookies to start this season. And good morning, Duke Crew. It'd be my guess, and it's just a guess. Second string probably, be a part of rotational. Could be third string for sure. But I think when you look at his motor, when you look at his aptitude to learn, how much he's willing to put his body on the line, I don't know if at the start of his rookie year he'll be second string. I'm guessing probably third string, but I could see, maybe halfway through the year him elevate to second string. Of course, that also means some of the veterans in front of him haven't held him off, so it's a double-edged sword. Bo, good morning, Duke Crew. Let the battle begin! Exclamation point! Woo! Yeah, there could be a whole lot of battles, and trust me, not only do us as fans know about these battles, the coaches know about it, but think about this: every player on the team. All the 91 guys on the roster currently, they understand they have to come in and battle. It's going to be a dogfight. JDC, Puff, woo, Coffee, and Lions Talk Live. Good morning to you. Trey, what's good, Duke Crew fam? Question mark. Everyone on this team will hit camp ready to go because if you don't, you will be left behind. I think that's well said there. Yeah, you will be on the outside looking in. Gary, morning, everyone. Same to you. Drake, morning, all. I'm thinking defensive end, offensive guard, and center are the most important battles heading into camp. Yeah, I'd say put them on the list in that order or other orders. But if you get those three spots, solidified, I think we're pretty good. We know who the expected starters are at like safety, cornerback. Maybe you can even say linebacker. Mostly defensive line, but the opposite end of Hutch, maybe not as much. Offensive line, that's probably the area of biggest question marks. At least we've got a lot of different options, to look at, and hopefully some people evolve. All right, France, good day and all, and to crew. Thankful for the positive energy we always have in the chat. Yeah, this is a pretty good positive chat here. No Debbie Downers for the most part. Gary, he who mauls shall play. I would agree with that, especially on the O-line. You get after people, you put them on the ground, you know what? You're probably got a pretty good chance. JDC, Motor City Duke Crew is here and in full force. Jess, greetings, salutations, Duke Crew. I think Manu will surprise us all and get into the O-line mix. Yeah, if he hits, I know we've talked about it before, but if he really hits this year and somehow he ends up winning, I'm assuming it wouldn't be center, it'd be offensive guard, one of those spots. Can you imagine him next to Decker or next to Penei Sewell? Penei Sewell trying to get faster, trying to get bigger, stronger. You put Manu next to him. I mean, that right side of that line, imagine any kind of swing plays, pull plays, trap plays, anything like that. You got two dudes who can get out, run, motor, and bury you in the ground. Pierce, morning all, and same to you. Sue Scott Dan will have some hard cuts to make. I don't envy his position. Yeah, it's. I'm assuming for most coaches, it's probably the least favorite aspect of being a coach. Whenever you have to make cuts, and again, this is Pop Warner football, high school football, college, or whatever, because you do get to know these people, their families, especially at the professional level. Speaking from experience here, it's tough. You cut a player, that player probably has to secure work in a different country, a different state. They got to take kids out of school. Their significant others got to find a new job. So it's 100%. It's mentally taxing on not just the players, but the coaches responsible for the cuts. All right, Pierce, a morning skipper would be great. Hey, hopefully you saw it in the opening intro. Johnny L, I'm so sick. Just going to listen, but good morning, coach and crew. Hopefully you feel better, my friend. Yeah, being sick is never fun, especially in summertime. Henry Moore, good morning, Coach Dan and the Duke Crew. What a team! Exclamation point! What a podcast! What a time be a Lions fan! Woo! Thanks for doing what you do, Coach. Hey, thanks for being here. I wouldn't do this if we didn't have the Duke Crew, and I do love me the Duke Crew. So hey, it's a symbiotic relationship. We both get something out of it. All right, 5 fingers ready. Feel better soon, Johnny. Get a woo from the crew. You know what? What the heck? We'll give Johnny a morning woo. I just got to find the buttons on the screen. And woo you go. Gary, I'm just worried about consistent pressure and containment in the pocket. Yeah, I know we were talking about the offensive line, but to your point, you got to keep people from getting outside. I get the Lions, the coaching staff mantra is we want those ends to shut down the run first, set the edge, and then get to the quarterback. So, yeah, they're going to put a lot of emphasis on it. Who's going to emerge to get that spot? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe Ahmed Hassanin, the rookie, maybe he just comes in from day one and says, this spot's mine. Maybe Josh Pascal, who's had all sorts of expectations. And not that he's been bad. He just hasn't been that player. Maybe this is the year he turns it on. Pierce, Gary, you said it, not me. I'll go with that. Quentin, greetings, salutations, Duke Crew. Been a minute, but the season nearly here, so I'm back. Well, welcome back, my friend. And yes, it has been a hot second since we've seen you. So, are there any big worries heading into camp? I guess the recovery from some of the guys who I'm not anticipating will be in camp right away. The Ali McNeils, Rodrigo, etc. Some of those guys, I don't know if they're worries, but we're all probably wondering, how about that? Maybe that's the way to word it, when they will return. JDC, I ain't scared. Go Lions! Exclamation point. Back at you. Good morning. Tori, I think he will make the team, Attila. All right. Well, yeah, Kennelly. All right. Yeah, I'll go with that. Rob Hawk, morning all. Exclamation point. Let's do it. 100%. Hey, that sounds like a great slogan for some shoes. Carrie, Pierce Sargent, we think alike. I'll go with that. Hookadoo, pass rush, in your opinion, last year was our weakness. It was, man, in a lot of different reasons. There's obviously a reason at the trade deadline we were so actively trying to acquire people. we did get Za'Darius, and I liked what Za'Darius Smith. I thought he was, great against the run, getting pressure on the quarterback. I thought he was exceptional. Just getting to the quarterback ended up being the problem, and some of that is just the people rolled away from him. All right, Steve, can't wait for the season! Exclamation point! I'm chomping at the bit to see the preseason games. Even me too. And again, with the competition level we're all expecting with this year's 90-person roster. Just make the 53. I think you're going to see a lot of good stuff in the preseason. All right, JDC, Thursday, 17 p.m. Central Time. Tick, tick, tick. Hey, yeah, it's getting closer and closer, ain't it? All right, JDC, go Lions, go Tigers, go everybody in Detroit. How about that? Walt Marks, hey, another person I haven't seen in a hot second. Good morning, Coach and Duke Crew. I made a live show. Woo! And exclamation points. Yes, you did, my friend, and thank you for being a part of the crew as always. Pat Rock, I won't say anyone is the best, but Coach, you do a pretty good job with the show. Reading all you do every morning is as easy as many would think. Hey, I get not the greatest grades ever for pronouncing things, whatever. I just do what I can to read it. Hopefully it works for some people. I know some people it doesn't work for. But yeah, being up here, on whatever, being up for an hour, trying to get everything ready. Hey, I put forth great effort. How about that? JDC, make pronunciations great again. I don't know if that's going to happen on my time on the mic, but I'll do what I can. Gary, Mahadi's kid is going to cause some pressure this year. I can feel it in my bones. I do too. I think most of us watching, here's what we know about Ahmed Hassan. He's got a motor. He's got intelligence. He's got the physical traits. He's got all that stuff. I think when you watch his hand placement, some of his footwork, those things have to be coached up more. He's going to need experience at this level against NFL offensive linemen, and that's not an easy task. The only way to get it for him is just get him out on the field. Give us some time, but I think the kid's going to be in pretty good shape. Where that's going to take him, I don't know if he's going to be a Hall of Famer, All-Pro, just a real consistent NFL player. But I'd say the trend, because of what we mentioned, with his mindset, with his ability to read, with his athleticism, I think he's going to be a pretty good player. Chuck, good morning, Coach and Duke Crew. Back at you. Rob Hark, remember at the end of the season how long it was going to till the start of the next season? Question mark. Well, here it is in just days. Yeah, we got a couple weeks to go, and then, well, hey, we're back on the field. JDC, woo, back at you. Look at you. I totally agree with you, Carrie. Exclamation point. I'm down with that. Jennifer, good morning, all. Best channel to get the morning started. Hey, thank you for the kind words. Hopefully you all enjoy it, and hopefully you have a phenomenal day. Jonathan, what do you got? Good morning, Dan and Duke, new crew. Lions go undefeated this year is my prediction. I like the way you are thinking. We're going to have to get you a segment on the show to predict each game for sure. I'm down with the Lions going undefeated this year because that would give us the Super Bowl. And Cynthia, Detroit Lions future will be so bright they'll have to wear shades. I feel like I've heard that somewhere. I like it. I like it indeed. Mary Smith, good morning all. Let us pray for Texas. Yeah, 100%. And we all get the headlines about the growing number of casualties from it. And as a reporter, obviously you got to report the news. The one thing I did see today is somebody took a different perspective. I guess there was a crew, was it first responders? One of them was like a 26-year-old kid who was some sort of dive specialist. I guess he's already been credited with saving like 40 people's lives in like a 24-hour window from diving into the floods, pulling people out. Some of them were campers at I forget the name of the camp that got hit really hard, and thoughts and prayers for those families. But I guess there's the other side of it is there are people putting their lives on the line to save lives, and they're doing a pretty good job. But, man, you got to feel for everybody involved with that because that's just some terrible news, man. All right, Trim Reaver, good morning, Coach and Duke Crew. Woo! Exclamation points. I'm down with that. Coach Rock, good morning, Duke Crew. I got a big camp right around the corner. I bet you do. Start a camp for you has got to be coming up soon. James, good morning, Dan and Duke Crew. How you doing, James? Good to see you as always, my friend. It's been a hot second. Black J.R. Jones, hit that like and subscribe button, people. Thank you very much for those that little shout out there, Jones. Thank you very much. Jim, 71 watching and only 29 likes. Why? That I can't answer, man. That I cannot answer. Hookadoo, praying Mary Smith. Niece lives in San Antonio. I was a little nervous. Hopefully everything is okay. You got my thoughts and prayers, and hopefully everybody else on the show. JDC, Jim Bohr, refresh your page once. They'll give an accurate thumbs count. Okay, yeah. The guy didn't even think about that, JDC. Rock will get well soon. Johnny O listening in here should help some good Lions talk. Hey, hopefully the Lions talk will help you heal on up. Ziggy and friends, good morning. Captain Dan, good morning to you both. How you doing? Hookadoo, Johnny L. Dan prescribed some Lions Talk Live and calling him in the morning. Hey, there we go. I'll help out any way I can. Chuck, Jared deserves his pay, and there are still other quarterbacks getting more than didn't even make it to the playoffs. Yeah, there'll be people for sure paid more than him. I do wonder, Chuck, if maybe that's no longer the biggest factor to Jared Goff. So at the end of this year, maybe he doesn't get $70 million, maybe renegotiates and gets, $50 million or something like that. Maybe he's okay with that. Only he can answer that. Obviously, it's a voidable year. I don't know off the top of my noggin if he has any control of the voidable year or if it's all team control. So that I can't speak on. All right, JDC, keep on trucking. Johnny L, get back up in the saddle. There you go. Mary Smith, Hookadoo, prayer is always in order. Glad to hear that your family is safe, 100% for all those affected. And I'm sure we're going to be hearing about it for another week. Hopefully everybody finds a way to, rise on up. Obviously the loss of life is tragic, but hopefully those who have survived can help rebuild the families affected. Like I didn't know it until I think Jen and I were going out to dinner yesterday. I was kind of looking through the news while she was driving. And was it one of the owners, I want to say, of the Kansas City Chiefs, his niece or cousin, something like that, was one of the ones, unfortunately, that passed away in the floods. And then there was a college football coach whose daughter was one of the ones that unfortunately also passed away. I mean, there's going to be a lot of loss of life. I just thoughts and prayers for everybody who's going through it, man, because even if you didn't lose life, you lost a lot because of it. And the aftermath. All right, Coach Rock, almost time for the players to silence the doubters. I like the way you're thinking. Mark JT, this is the deepest Lions roster. Players play and the coaches coach. I'm down with that. The only question, how good will the new OC and DC be this year? One way to find out, my friend. Get in that season and take a look. Earl, you are an awesome podcaster in sports. Hey, thank you for that with an exclamation point even. I'll take that, and thank you. Thank you very much. JDC, Dre Force rocks, and he rolls. Crazy legs might go off this year. Gary, Johnny L. had an upper respiratory infection for 2 months. What a bugger to get rid of. Get a lot of rest. Hope you feel better soon. Yeah, you might want to drink a Mountain Dew. That seems to cure everything for me. Phil, according to Bennett Johnson, Sewell throws better than Goff. He could be quarterback too. Man, that'd be a big quarterback for other teams to have to bring down. JDC, Lambeau Field, home of the Lamers. They are pretty lame, aren't they? Central Scrutinizer, greetings, salutations, coach and crew, one pride. Woo! And back at you. Cynthia, good morning, all. Exclamation point. It seems to becoming stronger and faster contributes to position security. Yeah, if you get bigger, faster, stronger, probably good in athletics, for sure. I agree with that. Mary Smith, can't wait to see our Lions on the field. They are hungry and ready to eat anything that gets in their way. Let's go, Lions. I like the way you're thinking. JDC Magic 8 Ball says defense wins, quote, the big one. I like it. I like it indeed. Kerry, Phil, then Ben should have tried to drag him to Turf Town to teach Caleb. Yeah, and take him on over there and see if he can teach him how to play, because I did see a headline yesterday. So I didn't really read into it since it was Chicago Bears related. But apparently Caleb Williams, I don't know, is not doing so well over there. I think most of us probably know the story now. He did not want to be a Chicago Bear. Sounds like that is still the case. Mary, we know Gibbs is number one. You have to agree with that, man. He is crazy good and starting to just hit his prime. Kerry, agreed, Mary. There you go. Look at Mary Smith. All the Lions are number one. Oh, yeah. Grit wins. James, is Anzalone still under contract? Yes, he's got 1 year left. If so, shouldn't he be playing on that deal? He should be, especially at his age. I don't think he's in a great position to demand anything. And that's not trying to disrespect him in any way, shape, or form. It's just you're a 30-year-old linebacker. You're a good linebacker. You are not a great, Hall of Fame all-pro linebacker. You're a real good linebacker. I just don't think he has a lot of negotiation powers here, but been wrong before. Mary Smith, Hookadoo, yes, I strongly agree. A thumbs up. I'm down with that. Kerry, you still got 1 year on? Yeah, he still got 1 year on his contract. Coach Rock, defense tackle will be the biggest battle in the trenches, and they're also so close. It would be a tough choice. Who makes it? Whoever doesn't make it, I'm sure will be picked up by another team. I think there's a whole lot of people, especially at the DTI, DTS, interior defensive tackles, that when we cut them, they're going to have teams racing for them. That's why I do suspect that position, maybe offensive linemen, you could see teams making trades to acquire our would-be cut candidates. Silver Surfer, good morning, Coach and everyone. Back at you. Pierce, Right defensive end, biggest battle? Ooh, could be that. James Allen, listening to Woodward Sports the other day, Terry Foster thinks Chicago Bears may inquire about the services of Darius Smith. Yeah, I know I've had a story on that a few times on the show, I don't know, in the last month or so. It seems like it's the thought is that Ben Johnson's doing that more to emotionally impact the Lions coaches, players, or whatever, try to get an emotional edge going into those games. Xavier, good morning, Dan. Go Lions. X-ray. I have a feeling they will go all the way. Let's cash in on that feeling. Pierce, coach, use his Jedi senses. Hey, every once in a while you got to, right? Cynthia, Xavier, I so agree. Exclamation points. Woo! Back at you both. Bo, I sense a no. All right, no it is then. Carrie, the only way is that Darius Smith would go to Chicago is if he doesn't get a contract in Detroit. Well, let's hope we give him a contract because I think we all want him here. Silver carries, he who mauls shall play. I agree with that, 100%. T-Bone Lokes, there's a relief hearing about the flexibility in Goff's contract. What a relief, excuse me. I can't wait to see how that will translate to extensions. Yeah, give it probably until next summer. I don't think they're going to do anything beforehand. Obviously, I could be incorrect on that, but I think come next offseason, that's probably, if they're going to use the voidable year, that's when things will go down. Hey, talk about something I haven't seen a second. Silent Service, good morning, Duke Group. Back at you, Henry Moore. Coach, you make this podcast real. It helps us and it keeps us involved. Hey, you guys make it work because, hey, if people didn't show up and talk in the comment section, we didn't have an interaction, the Duke Crew would be a little bit different, wouldn't it? Silent Service, I listen almost every day, but have been saying little lately. Yeah, it happens, man. It happens, man. Sometimes you got to kick back and relax. What can I do? Can't miss. Yeah, there you go. There. And I know it came out about one of the owners. I don't know his age or anything, but he appeared to be a little bit older. Apparently, he lost his life, going into the waters, saved a bunch of the young campers, dragged them out, but eventually the currents got too strong and dragged him away. So, hey, a guy went out a hero. That's what I can say. Jason, Levi Stadium or bus? I like the way you're thinking. That's a great call, my friend. Good to see you as always, man. 100%. Tree of Destiny. Jonathan, good morning. Back at you. Dre Day. NFL pay is so strange for quarterbacks. If you have a top 3 stats in the NFL in that position, you should be paid top 3. But why does everyone want him to take a pay cut for doing his job? It's a great question, man. And again, I don't know if he's going to. I just know that it's my thought, just based on what little I know of Jared Goff, I could see a real scenario where he says, you know what, I'm willing to take less to keep more and more of this team here. So that's a guess. I don't know it. JDC, Bears, Monsters of the Midway, accurate. Hookadoo, Happy Trails, Duke Crew, One Pride Worldwide. Woo! And back at you, JDC, Jason Berry, thumbs up, King A. All right, I'll go with that. Walmart, hit that like button. Duke Crew, yes, if you guys can, hit the subscribe, hit the like. You guys get it, hit all the buttons. Jason, JDC, what's up? We'll find out. JDC, Jason Berry, just killing time with fellow Lions Talk Livers. Sounds like a great start to the day. All right, guys, if there is breaking news later today, I'll get it over to you as soon as possible. If you would be so kind before checking out, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit all the buttons. Take care. Do something kind for somebody you don't know. Be a good human being. And we'll see you all in the next Lions Talk Live. And again, I got to get used to all these new button locations. There we go. You're still here? What are you doing here? It's over. The show's over. Go home.